Welcome to The Daily Edge, Marc Nudelberg, and today we've got an unbelievable entrepreneurial story. We've got Tom Derry here with us, who took responsibility for his brother. He's a great big brother. He's obsessed with process and details and simplicity, and we're gonna dive into his story of building a very successful car wash business that hires autistic people to be successful. Let's find our edge. Let's find our edge. That starts with our affirmation. I take responsibility for those I love and care about. I use that passion to guide what comes next and build with purpose, discipline, and love. Let's find our edge.
I like
Tom,
that,
thanks for being here,
dude.
man.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So give us your story. Where do you come from?
Yeah, so grew up in Long Island, New York.
What part of Long Island? Because my dad grew up in Baldwin.
Okay, yeah, not too far. I grew up in like the Oyster Bay area.
Okay.
I went to St. Anthony's High School in Huntington.
All right, so shout out to all the St. Anthony's alum.
Yeah, man. And then I went to Bentley University for college. And while I was in college, my dad, who'd been an entrepreneur his whole life, he sold his business and was kind of thinking about, well, what's Andrew going to be able to do? At this point, Andrew was in high school, and it was pretty obvious that in order for him to lead the full adult life that we knew he was capable of, we were going to have to take action. So while I was in school, this was just an idea. I graduated school, and my dad had kind of started like a spin-off business, what he was doing before. And so I finished school, and at this point, I wasn't like committed to starting a business for Andrew, but I was pretty committed to the idea that I was going to take my business degree and have some sort of positive social impact with it.
Okay.
At that time, it looked like for me, maybe it was environmental sustainability work, maybe it was some sort of other social entrepreneurship, but I knew I wanted to do something with it that had like meaningful change. And I talked to a lot of people. I looked at like a lot of job opportunities, like in consulting and stuff, and I was like, "This is not for me. I'm definitely not a consulting type."
So I want to dive into that for a second, because you grew up with an entrepreneurial dad, right? And in our pre-show conversation, like, you're maybe not the typical male that's like, oh, I want to go try to play college sports and have like, you knew you wanted to get into business. You chose Bentley because of the business forward focus.
For sure.
So like, when did you know that like it was business and not sports? When did you know you were going to be an entrepreneur or run your own business your whole life? Like,
no.
What about those early years made you go in that direction?
Yeah. So, I mean, in high school, I was really athletic. St. Anthony's is like it was at the time when I was there, it was a top 25 athletic school in the country.
Okay.
And so I played baseball and I played football. And so I really wanted to play college football, but I did not grow the way I hoped I would.
You had my problem. You had my problem.
I was like, I'm going to go play college football. It's like, nah, you're 5'9".
We can understand each other. Like, I know that it's you. 5'9", 160 pounds. Not a whole lot of people knocking on your door.
No, I could have played like D3, but I was like, well, I'm going to go and sacrifice my education to play D3 football. Didn't seem like it made sense.
Right.
So I was like, okay, well, what's the best business school I can go to? And this was heavily influenced by my dad, because that's what he wanted me to do, and it made sense. I was like, I was into like science too, but he was like, you can always, everything comes down to business. And that was like the way I was raised. At the end of the day, anything you want to do in America is business, right?
Ain't that the truth? Good or bad? You agree with that philosophy?
Yeah,
or
I think
like...
it's good. I think net, it's the most efficient way to allocate resources.
Right.
So I think it's great.
Right.
I think, it doesn't always work out that way.
Sure, right. But some people take advantage of the system, or
of course
have bad motives, but ultimately a understanding that everything is a business. Positive, right?
It's a tool. You could hit someone in the head with it, or you could build a house with it.
Yeah,
right?
You know what? What an unbelievable metaphor. I love that. That's super cool.
So yeah, I mean, so, you know, my dad had super heavy influence in my life,
Right.
and wanted me to pursue a business degree. And I looked at like all these, there's several colleges like Bentley, there's Babson University too, and Bryant, and I really liked Bentley. It was like a cool campus vibe. It was like very close to Cambridge, so there's like a ton of colleges around. It's a small school itself, but there's a lot of there's so many college kids in Boston. I was like, this is a cool spot.
Right.
And I loved it there. I mean, it was awesome. I played club rugby. And got to, you know.
Did you drink out of the boot?
I did a lot. Yeah.
It's gross.
It's gross. I wouldn't do it again.
For anybody who doesn't know anything about rugby culture, they started the rugby club at Florida State while I was there.
Cool.
And I was friends with somebody who was actually part of like that founding team. And so I would like start hanging out with, you know, his friends and the people that they were playing with. And I went to a couple games and like, I was hanging out with them one night and they broke out the boot and started drinking out of the boot. And I was like, nah, like it's an actual
it's a
sweaty,
stinky,
gross, disgusting shoe that they are drinking beer out of, and it's pretty foul. So
it's foul.
You survived. I survived that though.
My immune system's probably stronger for it.
So you go to Babs, and I want to kind of backtrack a little bit too, because how much younger than you is Andrew, your brother?
He's 20 months younger than me.
He's 20 months younger than you. So you've grown up your whole life knowing that your brother was special needs.
Yep.
But like I don't know, how old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay, so you're only 3 years younger than me. So like autism was not like a mainstream, you know, word or concept when I was growing up, when we were growing up. So it must have been interesting for you to have a brother that was special needs. Like, when did you guys find out about that, and what was that experience like growing up with him?
So Andrew's like very classic autism. So like he has like a mild intellectual disability, and he has some of like the more stereotypical autism like behaviors. Like he'll rock and he'll stim with his hands, and he'll like recite movies and stuff.
Which are those considered like social? Yeah, I mean, social symptoms, or like.
So autism fundamentally is a social communication disorder.
Right.
That's the one. You know, so autism presents in so many dramatically different ways, from Elon Musk to somebody who needs 24/7 care. Right.
Right.
But the fundamental thing that's the same for everyone is it's a way of interacting socially that is different. So yeah, for Andrew, like, the stimming and the rocking is mainly like way for him to comfort himself, and when he gets stressed. And then like the movie talk, which is what we always called it growing up, that's his way of interacting socially. So like he would like spit out a line from a movie that
just
was like
totally out of context, or like
no, in context, like right in there, man. Like
he might be my best friend actually, because
he
like
was very popular when he was little, man.
That's the only way. Like my son does that all the time. Like he loves Disney movies, and so like he's always constantly referring back to those movie quotes. So when did you guys notice that it was like not just something fun and cool, but like it was?
Well, I mean, for me, it was my whole life, right? Because I think he got diagnosed when he was 3, I think.
Wow. So
I don't remember anything before that.
So you were a little bit over 4, and so your whole life. Yeah,
I just realized that, hey, he needed extra help.
Right.
Like that was, and then he would, when he was younger, like he'd have meltdowns and stuff. So like he would get like, like he would scratch and like kind of freak out and stuff. Mm-hmm. So like that, I remember those things too. That was obviously, it's like, oh, well, I don't do that, right? So he needs some extra help. And so I always, and I think a lot of siblings would say this too. You kind of like have this like parent sibling relationship with your loved one with autism. It's not like your typical brothers that are 20 months apart where we're like fighting and going to parties together. It's like I'm kind of taking care of him from the time I was a little kid.
One of my brothers is 11 and a half years younger than me. So like we have that similar parent. Like we were never really, we're competitive now, and like, just because we're adults, but like, so we have that competitive brother side, but it's always been sort of that like, I'm older than you, and I have things, like I have to care for you a little, and until we got to a point where he was an adult and everything, but I still kind of take after him. Yeah, makes sense, totally. He's totally normal, but not really. But,
who is,
right? So, what was that experience like? Like, did you ever have any thoughts of like, why me? Why do I'm afraid to have him around my friends, or you kind of felt like, I don't want to bring him here to this place. Was it ever hard growing up with it?
I never felt like, why me?
Yeah.
Not that I can remember, at least.
Yeah.
I did feel like a strong protector vibe with him. Like I got into a bunch of fights
Sure.
when I was in like middle school.
Kind of fires me up.
Yeah, like, if anybody and probably unnecessarily, but I mean,
He's your little brother.
Kids knew it was a trigger for me too. So like they might mess around and like, here we go.
Let's go get
We're
Tom
gonna get after it. Yeah. So, I think for me, it was more like, nah, he's my little brother. Like I'm gonna watch out for him.
Yeah.
And that was always kind of the way it was. And honestly, he's such like he's such a likable person.
Yeah.
That he didn't really get bullied. There are so many kids with autism that get bullied like relentlessly.
Sure.
And he's really not one of them. I mean, he was like, he's just like, you have to be a real asshole to make fun of him.
Sure.
So,
then there's plenty of those out there.
There are.
Luckily, they weren't at St. Anthony's.
Yeah, but most of the people around him looked after him too, cared for him. And we didn't, so it wasn't hard for me to bring him around.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And so like, kind of makes sense that you had that protector, growing up. And then was it your dad's idea or was it your idea to take responsibility for him after high school?
100% my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, my dad's always been like a really like forward thinking person. Hard for him to like separate like the now to like what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And so like for Andrew, he would always say like, even when I was a kid, like, I don't look at Andrew as like this cute 12-year-old. I look at him as a 40-year-old man. Like, what is he going to be doing?
Yeah.
And so he was always thinking that way.
Sounds like a good coach too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure. Very good. Very, helped both of us develop in so many ways. And so he was thinking about this for years. And at one point, he was at a car wash, and he's just like, Andrew could do this, and this looks like a pretty good business. Wow. And so he calls me. He's like all excited. Like, I really think like this could work. I'm much more like research and analytically driven than he is. So like I tend to question things at first. I was like, well, I don't know, maybe. Like, let me think about it. Yeah. And then we did the research, and lo and behold, his entrepreneurial gut was spot on there.
So you were like way ahead of the Instagram trend, right? Now every Instagram reel is telling you to buy boring businesses.
Yeah, oh my God. I mean,
buy the laundromats, buy the car washes. You guys were way ahead of the curve on this.
And luckily, because it's much harder to get into this industry now today than it was when we got in 2012. So
can you give us a little context on how or why that would be the case?
Yeah. So car washes have become a darling of private equity. Namely because the industry has for better or for worse, really become a membership-driven business.
Right.
That is mainly what you see is these express exterior car washes around,
Yep.
right? So like they are really fast, really good exterior car wash right through an automated conveyor, then self-service in the vacuum, self-service vacuums and like goodies and stuff over there. And that's the model that's really scaling because it's fairly easy to scale in that if you have the capital, you can, building these things it's not rocket science, and it doesn't take a ton of employees, and they can get along, not run optimally, but they can get along without like particularly well-skilled employees.
Right.
And because you have a membership base, and the companies who are really good at this have very large membership bases, thousands of members per location, and that makes it where it's a much smoother revenue cycle than it used to be. It used to be like a feast or famine based on weather, and it's not really like that anymore.
Right, you can count on your recurring revenue every month, which I think there's a ton of, the large majority of service businesses have tried to move to that subscription model, right? Like even us as a coaching platform have a subscription, at least a part of our business that's subscription based. And like what we do on the training and development side, which I think we'll get into that conversation at some point, because what you do has to be so airtight on the training and development side. Yeah. So your dad has the idea, says, hey, this car wash looks like it might be a good idea.
Yeah.
You do the research and go, you're right. What was that next step like in building a partnership with your dad?
Yeah. So at this point, it was like September 2011, and he was like, dude, let's do this. Like, I'll sell my business and we'll do this together. I'm going to do this either way. I would really like to do it with you. And I was looking at, like these jobs, like I was saying before, and nothing was really speaking to me. And I was like, all right, let's do it. I'm in. And so we were like, okay, we have to build a test model, right? Because we have no idea what we're doing. Right. No idea. We don't know anything about employing people with autism. We don't know anything about car washes. So we had to find people who did.
Right.
And we needed to test the idea because it hadn't been done before. At this point, there were very few social enterprises that employed people with autism at all, let alone ones that were successful.
And shame on me, I'm going to forget the name. There's a coffee shop in Charleston.
Bose.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, so they were not around yet.
Right, they weren't like, so like you guys had to really find
there was
somebody who had, number one, employed special needs people, and then also the car wash, or were you like, I'm not so worried about the car wash side. Let's focus on
to our regret, we weren't focused enough on the car wash side.
You thought the biggest problem was going to be the autistic side. Sure. Turned out not so much.
Turned out not so much. That's exactly right.
That's funny. So tell us about it. So you learn about employing autists.
Yeah.
Who did you reach out to, or how did you do that?
At this time, there were like 2 groups that had any real success in employing people with autism. And one was Specialist Sterna, which was so essentially they do software testing using people with autism. Okay. That's a different type of, it's a different level of autism than we were looking to employ. Right. But they had interesting points and knew a lot of people, so I got to talk with them, and they were amazing to talk to and like at least inspiration.
Yep.
And then Walgreens was at 2 distribution centers, was employing a lot of people with autism. And that seemed relatively similar. So we found the consultant that had built that program, and we hired him. His name's James Emmett.
Cool. Shout out James.
Yeah, James is the man.
Still in with you guys?
We work with him periodically, but he's still doing this work, and he's been really successful at it. He's employed, I don't know, thousands and thousands of people with autism at this point.
That's super cool.
Yeah, he's the man. And then we said, okay, well, let's find a car wash expert. Talked to a bunch of people, and lo and behold, we had a vacation house down here in Fort Lauderdale, and like, hey, there's this thing called Car Wash College that's in Tamarack. Like, maybe we should check it out. And so we just drove over there, and it's Sonny's Enterprises, which is the largest manufacturer of car wash equipment in the world.
Oh wow!
And they're right in Tamarack, and we got we walked in and we talked to the chief operating officer, Anthony Analetto, like he was just there, which was crazy. And we had like a 10-minute conversation with him, and he was like, yeah, like let me, he gave us his email and whatever, and we reached out to them again, and we got to a meeting the next time with the CEO, Paul Fazio, of the company, and they were like, I don't think this is going to work, but it sounds awesome, and we'll do whatever we can to support you. So we went to their training program, which was called Car Wash College, still it's called Car Wash College. We brought James, and we kind of left that saying, like, actually people with autism are like the perfect fit for this. It's very process-driven. It's very detail-oriented. One of the biggest struggles at that time to scale these businesses was labor. Right. Because it was a much more labor-intensive business at that point. It was a lot of, like, doing interior cleanings, which arguably it still should be. It's just because it's easier to do the self-service model, that's what's proliferated. Right. But so we were like, okay, this makes sense. Mm-hmm. And they were like, but we still have to test this idea because it's pretty outside the box. Mm-hmm. So we talked to Paul, and he owned a car wash in Florida City, and that's where they tested equipment. And he said, guys, you can work out of there for the summer. Like, they put up a tent and put another vacuum producer in there, and they said, train people up and see if you can do it. Wow! So that's what we did. We spent a total of 8 weeks down there. Training up 3 different groups of people with autism, and learning how to recruit, learning what an actual like interview assessment should look like. And we hooked up with a group called Center for Autism and Related Disabilities out of University of Miami, and their executive director, who's still around and amazing, Michael Alessandri. He helped us kind of do the recruiting and learn about like the local autism community in Florida, and after that, we were like, this works. So
I want to pause there for a second, because like every recruiting is hard for a regular business, right? Yeah. Like people struggle to hire salespeople because if you do it at a high level, you define exactly what you're looking for. Yep. Confidence, grit, right? Like desire, and you build questions around those skills or those traits to try to assess whether or not they have them. What does that look like for hiring autistic people?
So it's the same exact thing, right? So people with autism don't need anything different.
And pause for a second.
Yeah.
Is it people with autism or autistic
Both.
people? Does it matter? Okay.
Depends
I don't
on
want
who
to
you
make
talk
sure
to.
I'm, oh, is it?
Depends on who you talk to.
So, like, am I going to get roasted in the comments for autistic people? I'm changing. People with autism.
You can do it either way. The reason I say people with autism is because we polled our staff, and the majority of them prefer people with autism.
Because they are people and they have autism.
And that is
it doesn't define them.
That's what a lot of people say.
I get
there
that.
are also a lot of people
shame
who
on
with
me.
autism who call themselves autistic and have a lot of pride in it. You can go either way,
Okay.
I think.
All right. All right. So I'll give maybe both comments.
Yeah, probably either way. You're getting comments.
So what does it look like to what are you looking for in the hiring process with them?
So it depends on the role.
Yep.
Like you said. So on our sales roles,
Okay.
we are looking for someone who can memorize a script, someone who is money motivated, so they want to earn the commissions.
Yep.
Someone who has grit and resilience and has a growth mindset.
Yep.
Right. So we're asking all of those questions.
Yeah.
We like to generally default to essentially a work sample. Right.
Okay.
So in all of our roles, we try to utilize that mechanism. So for a sales role, right, here's one paragraph of the sales script.
Yep.
Memorize that before the interview, and that's how we're going to start the interview.
Wow.
Right. And so that way we know, okay, can they memorize it? Can they say it, with a positive vibe to them?
Mm-hmm.
And then are they prepared? Do they actually care about this, or is mom dragging them here?
Right.
And if that's true and all those things check the boxes, then there's a really intensive onboarding training program that's usually 2 weeks.
Okay. Is that in a classroom or is that hybrid?
Hybrid.
Is it okay?
Yeah. So it's online before they come in for like a day, and then it's in a classroom for the next 2 days, and then it's
And the classroom is on site for you guys?
on site.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we just kind of chunk each part of, so like we're building up from like the basics of like, this is a car wash, this is what we do,
Yeah.
to this is the way you describe the services, to this is the way you describe the membership pitch, to this is the way all the equipment works, right?
Yep.
So it takes, it's 5 days. A lot of times it takes a little longer. And then
Can you give me a range a little longer, meaning like 2
up
weeks,
to 2
a
weeks.
month?
Yeah,
Okay.
it never takes, if it takes more than 2 weeks, we generally looking to put them into a different role.
And just a pre-qualifier question, is there certain spectrums of autism or certain...
Yeah, I mean, there is, but really what we're doing is we rely, the way that we recruit in general,
Yep.
we like to call it grassroots recruiting. So what we're doing is we're finding the people in the community who know and love individuals with autism.
Yep.
So that's special education teachers, speech pathologists, the transition team at Broward Public Schools.
Yep.
And so we're building relationships with those people.
Yep.
And then we say, hey, look, we have a role available. This is what the role entails, and we'll usually send some videos, or better yet, they'll come and the person will actually come and see like the way the job site works.
Yeah.
And it's like, send us who you think is good,
Yeah.
who could be a good fit for this, and then we're going to put them through this interview process.
You created a referral program for hiring.
And because, like you said, so businesses in general really struggle with recruiting.
Right.
Retail frontline businesses struggle mightily with recruiting.
Correct.
Because there's also generally really high turnover in these industries.
Right.
And we don't. We have a wait list. So we've got we've got 3 stores in 5 miles of each other. We're building a 4th store in Pompano Beach now.
Where are those 3 stores?
Parkland, Margate, Coral Springs.
Okay.
And then the 4th one's going to be on Atlantic Boulevard in Pompano
Let's
Beach.
go!
Yeah.
I can get one. So I'm I don't even know if I should say this. I'm a member of Sparkling Image.
Oh boy.
Which is US 1 just south of Oakland Park.
Yep.
So if you give me one close, I'm in. I'm there on Saturdays.
Let's do it.
Every week I'm getting the car wash.
That's good.
I'll be a good membership.
That's awesome.